Oh. All right, I guess this is it. Let's see. Oh, okay. I think, okay, everything is set up. Not hearing it through there. No, it's going.
Greetings.
No.
This is Big Pontiac, and welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. And I am that one and only galactic daddy-o welcoming each and every one of you to my galactic patio that reaches from Minnesota to the universe.
Let's see. Okay, they're going. Oh, shit, where's my Richard Pryor?
You can't get too close to my.
Oh, I'm grooving. Yeah, all
You knew
that.
I was crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get this out. I'll get this out before I go on. I just realized again, I did not wear my glasses. I got the glasses with the bifocal so I could read that stuff instead of being like this, but I just realized I don't have them on, so sorry about that if I have to squint down, but dreadlocks, thank you for joining. Kind words, very kind words. A quick recap of the game last night. I'll say this, Washington's line, if they don't, and that's why they lost in the playoffs. If they don't secure his line, they'll beat mediocre teams, but when they come up against tough teams, they're gonna have some struggles. I thought what was his name? Tinston, the older left guard. I think they picked up Devo Sambo's played a good game, but overall, their defense just doesn't match up well. Now the Packers look good, and I mean I hate he lost one receiver because that dude he was open. Remember he overthrew him earlier. I think he was the one that got overthrown earlier. But the Packers with Parsons, and think about it like this: Parsons getting shots in his back. He is not 100%, and he put some on their minds last night. So Green Bay, I think Green Bay beating Detroit. I think they're gonna stand the test this year. This is going to be a real tough Green Bay team. The line holds up for him, and he gets the ball out quick. And he has a ton of receivers. Now, I don't know who they look like. The one receiver hurt his shoulder more than anything. So I'm not sure who they're going to replace him with. But once he's replaced, I'm sure they'll be able to bring a good thing. I saw something about they're talking about sending Sanders to San Francisco. We'll see if that comes to be. But as I mentioned before, he only went through a shaming. He's going to play somewhere. Now, they give the lowest scrub at the smallest schools. Look at people like Sims, the daddy, not the one that went to Texas, Chris, but the daddy. I mean, they give these jokers from these mediocre schools and let them shine. And again, it's all scripted for certain people. I mean, look at Tom Brady, the last pick, but look at how they scripted the game for him. You did. Look at how they scripted the game for him. You know, what did he make? 10 Super Bowls, something like that. You know, record. So, Person's only playing. Yeah. He's hurt. He's still hurt. So just think how effective he was playing, and he's hurt. You know, so their defense was already solid without him. They're going to be a lot more solid. Now, I think looking at Detroit now, let me go through my notes because I picked Detroit to win this week. Again, to go over my picks for the week, the Packers won, so that's already one win. Cowboys, Steelers, Rams, Bills, Pats, Bengals, 49ers, Ravens, Lions, Colts, Cards. As I said, I went back and forth, but I think really this might be a shaming year for the Eagles. Remember, Tom didn't make it every year. This might be, I mean, not the Eagles, but the Chiefs. This might be the down year for the Chiefs. I think San Diego's a lot better. So I'm going with my Eagles and Vikings, Bucks, and Chargers. And let me see, because Lions had one of the hardest schedules last year. Let's see. Go here. No. Go over here. Let's see. Where do I want to be? Oh, up here. Search. Oh, look at the stocks. Gosh, you know, I always. Dang, where is my search? Try this. There we go. NFL schedule. Let's see. My 14. Nope, that's not current. Nope. NFL schedule. That's not it. I need week 2. Week 2. There we go. Yeah, I got the Steelers beating the Seahawks. I got the Bills beating the Jets. I want to do the Lions, Rams, Titans. I'm definitely going with the Rams at home. Patriots, Dolphins. I think the Patriots will beat them. Browns and Ravens. Raiders should handle them. A good game because depending on whose quarterback is going to be here, the 49ers Saints. You know, I might have to reconsider that one. I need the full schedule though. Oh, okay. Yeah, give me the full schedule with spreads. Oh, I gotta go a bunch of ways. Okay, I'll just go back. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, I think it's a couple more games. It's missing some games. It's just key matchups. Oh, okay. Where am I missing? I'm missing. Let me see who the Buccaneers ain't on here. Yeah, so this is for some reason not the full schedule. Maybe this will give me everything. No, still not. Oh, here we go. See more games. Yeah, that's what I need. See more games. Dolphins, Bills, Browns, Ravens, Titans, Giants, and Cowboys. Yeah, I picked the Cowboys for that one. I think they'll win at home. They should win at home. And as I said before, Lamb is going to have a big year. That shaming he had that first game, he's going to have a big year. Jaguars, Bengals. I got the Bengals beating them. Did I pick the Jags or the Bengals? No, I picked the Bengals. The Bengals went home. Yeah, they definitely should win. Lions, Bears. This is going to be, did I pick the Lions? I don't know. This wonder if I should reconsider here, Lions and Bears, because the Lions aren't looking good. But I'm going to stick with the Lions. I think the Steelers should beat the Seahawks. Broncos should beat the Colts, even though I got the Colts at home. I got the Panthers, Cardinals. Do I got that one? Cowboys, Steelers, Rams, Bills, Bats, Bengals, 49ers, Ravens, Lions, Colts, Cards, Vikings, Bucks, Chargers, Panthers, and Cardinals. Why don't I have? Oh, yeah, I got the Cards at home. I got that one. I got the Cards winning at home. I'd like to see that spread. Then, of course, next Sunday night, we got the Falcons and Vikings. The Vikings, I'm taking the Eagles to beat the Chiefs. And then Monday night, we got a doubleheader. We got the Buccaneers and Texans and the Chargers and Raiders. I'm going with the Chargers to win on the road, and I've got the Buccaneers defeating the Texans. I don't know. I think Texans at home. I'm going to switch that one. Texans at home. Texans at home. Yeah, I'm going to switch that one. I think the Texans to beat them at home. So, and then, yeah, then we'll make it for next week. So, that's the picks. Kind of a highlight of the game last night. And I guess the big thing happening tomorrow is the fight. I know a lot of people are going to say about the weight difference. Naturally, like all y'all listening is pretty much men. Oh, what's happening, Lobo? Thank you for joining. Lobo, what's happening, bro? Did you get I sent you an email a while back, but the fight, the biggest difference now, you all are men are listening, and boxing is all about size and weight. I mean, the power that comes to be able to hit someone, the heavier you are, it's a lot more effective to hit someone if you weigh a little more. Now, that's my biggest thing is he's went up in weight, and he's taken a two weight jump, or maybe almost 3 weights up, because I think they're fighting at super middleweight. So that's my only thing. Now, far as skill, can he take the punch? That's the big thing in these big fights. Can you take a punch? Now, Crawford, in his last couple fights, he's been tagged. Now, I don't know if he's been tagged by a fighter like he's going to fight with Canelo. Now, Canelo can get hit a lot. He's definitely slowed down with old age. And if Crawford can get off those flurries and those counter punches, because I believe Canelo's a counter puncher as well, I think he could effectively outpoint him for sure. The further the fight goes, Canelo tends to slow down at times. And again, he's an older fighter. So if Bud can get stronger, as the fight goes on and can take the punishment, I think he's got a good chance of winning. That's the biggest thing. Oh, okay. Let's see. Let me put it in. Oh, okay. I'll put it in this way. Be a little easier. I can't type. So I'll put it in this way to you. Let's see. Mute it. There we go. No. Don't want that. Keep on getting these. Oh, right here. Here we go. Okay, this is me. That's the point. But again, can he take? And history has shown us that he has power. But again, has he taken maybe the last couple fights since he fought what's his name and beat him? He's been hit more. Now, he's been hit more and still been strong in the later rounds. But again, he wasn't hit with a bigger guy. He wasn't. So that's his biggest. Can he take that kind of? And he reminds me kind of, and I think Bob Foster fought light heavy most of his career. And I think Foster might have been slightly taller, but he reminds me a lot of Bob Foster, that kind of, and as Bob Foster, tried to fight the heavier guys, I think he even fought Joe Frazier. I think he got beat by most heavyweights he fought. Now, again, we're not talking about a heavyweight. So that's the way I look at it, is can he, because I think he can definitely outbox him. but he's been hitting the last couple fights. Really, he took some really good shots. And again, those was dudes his own size. Can he take the shots from somebody bigger than him? And that's going to be the tale of the fight right there. And if he can, he can definitely outpoint Canelo because Canelo's not as busy. You know, some of them fights, I mean, he just, I don't know, he just wasn't active. I mean, he was active as the fighter in front of him, but he really wasn't aggressive. And again, this dude, you know, we were saying this dude has taken, you know, a lot of punishment, you know. So again, with what he's 100+ fights, you know, we just don't hardly see that anymore. When you take a guy like Ali, you know, Ali, I think only fought, 70 fights? And you look at somebody like Archie Moore that probably fought almost a couple hundred times. I mean, dudes, and Archie Moore was still pretty bright. You know, like I listened to James Toney, and James Toney, I mean, again, he's a little younger than me, but you can hear it. You know, you can hear it. I mean, CTE, and I mean, it used to be called Punch Drunk. And I grew up around boxing. I can remember meeting men that were little boys in the mines. Nicest guys, worked. Where am I getting all that from? Must be my phone. Who keeps? So that's something that's been around, and you see it in Tony. And I'm glad, you know, you can be active, be alert, and there are ways to overcome it too, and that's what he seems to be doing, trying. And we can see the same thing in Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns is the same way. So, I mean, Floyd. You know, and these exhibition fights, they ain't really hitting each other. I mean, they're not trying to kill each other. They're just in there sparring. And you know, most cats grew up sparring. You know, cats grew up sparring. So for them to spar is pretty much a day in the gym. So it should be a fun fight. I mean, it's really cool, and fighting brings an excitement not many other sports bring. It really does. It brings a different type of energy, a different type of excitement than even the Super Bowl, because it's one-on-one. It's not team related. It's one-on-one. And like even going back, you know, to the great fights. I mean, still, I think the greatest fight ever and most anticipated was Ali Frazier 1. And I mean, if you weren't alive then, I mean, just the way even us common people, how we were so hyped about it, and so many people loved Ali, and so many people loved Frazier. And you know, and that's one thing where if you break down Ali's character, you have to disagree with his character, because even then he was making fun of Joe Frazier, saying he was the people's chance, and again, he was raised with privilege. Joe Frazier was raised on them plantations down in South Carolina, and then the big insult coming where, you know, Rocky is doing what Joe was doing, running around Philadelphia, running up and down them stairs. And then you put a statue of Rocky up before Joe Frazier, who was really the heavyweight champion. But I mean, the excitement of that fight, I think it hasn't been matched. I mean, there's been exciting fights, but I don't think that particular fight was probably the most, at least in my lifetime, being 64 years old, that fight generated something that hasn't really been seen since. And actually, you know, we have had two heavyweight, I don't know if we've had two heavyweight undefeated champions fight again, but these were truly two undefeated, with Ali being the lineal. Ali was still the lineal champion. You know, that means the man who beat the man going back to Jeffries, I think it is. The belt that Joe Louis once held and the belt that Jack Johnson once held. That's the lineal champion. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited for it. We'll see how it goes. You know. Let me. You know, I like showing off the shoes, and it's not really showing off. Just kind of cheap stuff you can buy. So I'm gonna get through this pretty quick. I ain't got the box names up here. But these are type of Ultra Boost, Light Boost. And they're kind of trail or anywhere shoe. These were like originally $200, and I want to say I got them less than 100. But again, look at this outsoles, and it's somewhere around here. Where's the Adidas thing? It's somewhere around here. I keep the Is this it? I don't think this is it. I think this is the New Balance. Oh, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Foam, yeah. 510, no. Foam Fresh, no, that's not. That's the... Now, I'll say the one thing that I see, they kind of turn in a little bit if you don't pay attention. Just the way the shoe's made, your foot, I don't know, it doesn't really keep it firm as you would think. I mean, if you walk straight, yes, but if you have any kind of inner, I would say that's the only negative about this, but the cushioning, now the insole sucks. This is nothing. And this is what you have to gripe about Adidas for doing. You know, this is nothing. They was making these in the 60s. Now with my insoles in them, quite comfortable. But without the insoles, not really comfortable. Not really comfortable. Now, still with, oh no. Yeah, where's it? This is right here. Now this is Light Strike. Now I know this is not Ad Zero. I wish I'd have got the black and red ones, but again, this is a $200 shoe. I got this about $60, I think. Now the colors don't match. It matches, you know, because especially when you wear jeans, you know, you just see that orange, so it kind of matches the Tigers. You know, I do wear little Tiger gear. But these, even with insoles, now again, they're insoles, nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing. But with my insoles, I have very comfortable shoe, very comfortable. It's just the color. They made a color, college. So these are the Hurricanes. I think somewhere it says Hurricanes on here. So these are the Hurricanes. But a comfortable ass shoe, Light Strike, very comfortable. Now this is a shoe that just looks good. The leather of this shoe, this is the Total 90. Total 90, maybe it's Total 93. But the leather, and I saw some patent leather ones. When I was in Michigan, I saw a patent leather one that I hadn't seen around here. And then they got the side ties like the Rodmans. But this is basically an indoor soccer shoe, but every pair I've looked at, the leather is just outstanding. Now, of course, this is a very flat shoe, but this insole's better than the other two. You know, this is much, but it's still better. And of course, with my insoles in them, so I'm gonna get another colorway of these because these go for about $125. But with jeans, these are stylish. Different colorways too. But unique in the side ties. I remember I saw my son in Michigan. He's like, "What do you got on?" Messi's. He has Adidas. So I know the summer is over. What is this? Oh, I know the summer's over, but I'm gonna show you my summer shoes. These are Keens, and I think these are like $1. I got them on sale, so maybe because of the color, maybe $70, $80. But now the Keen boat shoes, they're garbage. They're garbage. But these insoles don't come out. But like, I mean, these are super comfortable, and I rarely can just slip my foot in a shoe and wear it. Now, I did wear this when I helped my daughter's mother's move, and I think I kind of hurt my foot, but and they come in different colors. These are super comfortable, and they come in a bunch of different colors. Now these is Crocs. I got the Waves. Comfort level is more comfortable than the older one, but not as comfortable as the Nike version. The Nike version are more comfortable than these. These aren't bad. I mean, just to knock around and wear, you know, even if you run to the store and back, you know, I always wear them with socks, but super comfortable too, you know, but these are super comfortable. Now the shoe version, that's like the Wave of these, the knock on them is that your foot slides, and your heel slides, and the back of these, they don't really slide. And I'm looking, they look like they're blue, but these are green on top. Blue on bottom, green on top. Right now, the more shoe version of this is out about $70. I got these at the outlet, and these were $40 at the outlet. Super comfortable. I know the end of summer. So if you want to get the ones that's more of a shoe than this, they've been sold out all summer, but I can see it's the end of the summer. JD Sports, JB Sports, they have them if you're interested in that kind of thing. So, but these are super comfortable. I wore these around the Mall of America, you know, and no one, when I bought these, nowhere, they don't sell, these are pretty much sold out everywhere, even the Mall of America. When they get these, they said they sell out instantly. So, but the shoe version is $70, and they probably like you know, again, the slide, you know how your foot with the slide, but the shoe version is probably more comfortable. So, and the next thing I want to talk about is kind of what everything that's been going on. This kind of disrupts a little bit of that, and far as also the way things are put together, especially the way our government is put together. And so we're under a new type of theory, and especially our government is under a new type of theory. And what's anti-DEI is also, this is called the mediocre theory. And the mediocre theory really goes back to Jim Crow days. It really goes back to Jim Crow. And basically what it is if you have a qualified melanated person, or even let's say an overqualified melanated person, and you've got Bill's brother, or you've got a European guy that's way less qualified because Bill is European, we got to give him the job, even though he's only going to be mediocre in the job. So just like we looked at Trump's cabinet, you know, we look at the first cabinet was politicians with experience, but he went with the mediocre theory, and this time around, he didn't get the best qualified. All he got is yes men. He got people that's agreeable to him. He felt he was portrayed the first time by hiring seasoned politicians. So he went to the mediocre theory to get yes men. And that's what you see all up and down. You don't see the best. And him getting rid of, you know, all these sisters that they got rid of. Now, you know, melanated sisters in America are the most educated group. As a group of people, they are the most educated group of people. And also, let's tell the whole story. They are the ones that got hit the hardest with them loans. I know people $300,000-$400,000 loans, especially if you go for your PhD or go for a double, you know, a couple different masters. I know people with $300,000-$400,000. I think the highest is three. She owes three something, 3+. And those same people got hit with those loans. But then again, you know, the point is this excellence that we saw. And competence that we saw in the government roles. You know, Dodge went in and started going after these people. In some regards, not replacing them with anything. Other regards, replacing them with mediocre people. And that seems to be the new it thing for businesses. Now, we've always had, you know, hiring relatives and stuff. But again, when we're talking about these really high positions, again, putting mediocre people in there. And we can even go to the Supreme Court and look at that. You know, the puppets that he put in, are they the most qualified? And I say Kavanaugh definitely wasn't. And even the other woman right after Kavanaugh, even she wasn't the best. A lot of good minds out there. And so, what they call it, idiocracy, where we're ruled by the stupid. Isn't that what that word is? Idiocracy. We're ruled by the stupid. We're ruled by the mediocre. And we know Trump's whole time, you know, his whole life, he's been mediocre. Pretty much a failed business person. But I mean, what happens to all people that grift is eventually you hit a lick if you persist long enough. And we know people upheld him. I mean, his TV show was a way to keep him out there. The birthing thing, the publicity he got from the birthing thing was a way Idiocracy. Yeah, idiocracy. There you go. Idiocracy. Yeah, yeah. And so, we got hit with these kind of things. And so this is why they the birther thing kept his name out there. That kept his name out there. And then they gave him a show to keep his name out there. And again, when he ran against Hillary, and I mean, Hillary is a different kind of, but a seasoned politician and a very crooked politician. She was very crooked, and people saw through that. And again, it was the thing. Every time, it's really the best and the worst. Even Obama, when he ran against, what was it, Mitt Romney? Is like, do you want Romney? Do you think Romney would have put in what's going into effect today? Because the ICE police are fascists. There's no way to get around that. It's a selective force. It's just like when they put in, Himmler put in the SS. It's the same thing. A private army. That's what they've done. They got what? Triple funded. A private army that got triple funded. So again, like we see, there were real statesmen. Like it or not, Richard Nixon was a statesman. Yes, he opened China up, and he's the reason why so much junk comes from China is because of Richard Nixon. But again, the give and take. He was pretty good at that. So was Kennedy in his short time he had. And we know he was putting pressure on Jewish folks to, turn over the nuclear program. APEC, or it wasn't even called APEC then. He was like, you guys need to be registered. And now the push is to say that they the ones that off team. So it's not the mafia and the CIA anymore, And so you get into all this, trying not to go off too much. But you get into all these histories, and we know a lot of the histories that we get. It's like so much made up and lied history. And they want to, take away a lot of achievements. I mean, did you guys see the short where, Trump was talking about all the achievements of Americans, and it was like everything he mentioned was something a brother, melanated person invented. Because we know what Thomas Edison was. Thomas Edison was like Bill Gates. He was like, let somebody else invent something, and he would take the publicity, take the credit for it. But if you look at the patents, it's like just like the radio. Radio, for years when I was taught, it was some Italian dude. And don't ask me why. They didn't want Tesla to get credit for the radio. And in Tesla's lifetime, like a couple years after the Italian dude gave his patent in it, Tesla sued him immediately. As soon as that dude put the patent for the radio, Tesla was like, hey, I already did this. But yet, for a minute, they let the other dude's patent go. And during my growing up period, it wasn't Tesla that invented the radio. It was that Italian. And now we're finding out that, airplane was built by a melanated person, and he was trying to get a patent to show that it worked. Somebody stole his plane, whole train. He had a whole car that got hijacked. They took. I think it was 10 years before the Wright brothers. They took his idea. And again, see that. Let's look at history and how do you do something like that without letting a European person see it? And we know what happens when they see great ideas. They want to stamp their name on it. Or stop it. Remember, or stop it. Stop it from creating. Stop it, because we're not going to make any money off it. I don't see where I can make any money off it. Only he can make money. So we need to stop him from making that money. And that has happened time and time again over history. And it's like now, like if you look at Africa, you got to admire what they're doing. Like France is hurting. I mean, France for a couple hundred years have lived off Africa. Small, and what's interesting, France can't beat any country but Africans. Like I remember France was celebrating 200 years from their revolution with Napoleon and stuff, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Wasn't that long ago? Them Nazis had your country for 5 years. So what are you celebrating? At that point, it was only like 60 years from Nazi control. It's like they just, you see what I'm saying? You're celebrating 200 years of independence, but that independence was cut when them Nazis came up in there. So what are you celebrating? You see how they try to change history? And so France is hurting. Because American allies is not helping them, try to take them African countries back. And we know, the dirty tricks. I mean, there's all kind of books. There's a book about a cat from 1918 that told how he goes all up and down South America overthrowing those countries for corporations. That's the book I got, The Confession of Economic Hitman. Going to these countries and build something that's some bullshit that the country might not necessarily, some infrastructure, the country might necessarily need, loan the country the money, and then once the things get built, you bring in all the Americans and you let them build this thing. So you done paid these other Americans and you still on the hook for a loan for something that don't benefit everybody in my country. I mean, this is what they were doing for years and years. And then you look at like a country like Saudi Arabia, them cats ain't even Arabian. Again, them is Jewish folks from Ukraine, Eastern Bloc people. But that are Jewish people. They act like they're Muslim, but these people look in their histories and they Jewish folks. Where they come from. They weren't part of the Persian Empire. The Persians is where Iran is. But when the Saudis, they really thought they were getting all the Middle East after Ottomans was defeated after World War I. Them Saudi people that came from Europe, they really thought the House of Saud, look that up where they're from, look it up. And they really thought they were getting all of it. And they just gave them the Arab Emirates. But they thought they was getting all of it. Iraq, Iran, and Kuwait was the country they made. If you didn't know, they made that country for U.S. base, basically. So, I mean, so much in history, and they want to erase so much history too. The critical race theory, that's putting the true history of America in the face. And not only says this, not only says the true history, it says the true history, but it also, it shows, it reflects what happened, the outcome, how people were affected, and how it's supposed to be overlooked. How this is supposed to not be looked at, because again, it tells the real history. They don't want the younger generation anymore to know the murderous way that America was taken. I mean, constant state of war since they've been here. I mean, we as melanated people are the only people that was attacked by what, 7 countries? 7 countries invaded this country. We were attacked by 7 European countries. They attacked at different places, starting with Columbus, but going all up and down the West Coast, all up and down the East Coast, all up through Mexico. We were attacked by the Europeans, and we speak the European language today. And some people ask, why do I mean Europeans? And maybe I should say modern Europeans, because we know what they did to the black Europeans. I mean, some of that Black Plague definitely attacked those people. Now, I'm not saying everybody came out of Africa, but I'm saying that Europe had a lot of melanated people at one time. All through Russia, all through England, France, Spain, all them countries had melanated folks. And we know how many people got wiped out in the plague. And so we can only speculate how many of those kingdoms that was once melanated folks got wiped out. So it's been a continuous kind of attack on melanated people really all over the world. Even like you look at what was done in the Congo. And this is, and like when you look at the Congo and you look at how they got conquested and you look at how much help, and that goes back to Columbus, that goes back to Cortez. There's always somebody that's willing to betray their people, Hence the so-called Dark Ages. Indeed, indeed, indeed. OTF, what's happening? All biz, what's happening? And so, I mean, Cortez, it's like I've talked about this many times before. It's always a story like Sacagawea that's supposed to speak to every language as they go out west. Well, this chick in the Mayan was the exact same way. She comes up and she picks up English very quick. Not only picks it up, is able to help Cortez conquer. And realizing the people, you know, you're destroying your own people because you're mad at the Mexicanos. See, Aztecs is a made-up word. Aztec is a made-up European word. They did not call themselves the Aztec. The Aztec come from a scientist hated hearing about the Mexicanos all the time. It's like, man, I'm tired of hearing about them, so I'm going to make up another name. But those people were called the Mexicanos. And of course, it's the same story. A young girl picks up English, and she's his translator. So many tribes hated the Mexicanos. Where are they going to help these Europeans? So it's a lot to gather. And you know, yes, we don't think about this every minute. It ain't like racism is just there in your face every second, like racism. Well, yeah, brush my teeth, racism. No, you feel pretty good. It's all men watching me, women, we feel pretty good about ourselves. But we know what we see when we see it. And we see it all the time. Like I was saying, just going in a restaurant where somebody, you know, didn't help me, but helped somebody that came later than me. And I'm like, okay, I'm spending money too, but we see it. And that's subtle. And if you ask the person, like, oh, I wasn't paying attention, I didn't see you. So I didn't mean not to help you. But you see that kind of thing. So many fakes and information on the net. It's a breath of fresh air. Turn it to the real. I mean, yeah, again, that's another commercial name is Omic. And I can show you the book back there is where the Natal translates more into Omen is the real word for the tribe. It's more Omen. Omeka Kabaza was a commercial name because that's really where when you're talking about Omeka, it's Omeka Kabaza, which means big heads. And so those were a group of people, again, when we talk about creation, this group of people doesn't get, like, they give a lot of technical advances to the Mayan that really they initiated through the Omen, that the Omen really initiated, that they started. I mean, the charting of the stars. And then, you know, when you get into the Mexican counting or the Olmec counting, the Mayan system, it is still used today. Where am I getting that from? Oh, right there. We are still, oh, okay. We are still using the counting system, like, I don't know if I got any books around here close enough to me, but the counting system is still today. You know, the dot for 1, the 5. But their history, they have a stele, and I think it might be in the Mexico City Museum, but it's a stele that counts the times back to the billions for them. Back to the billions. This is how old the tradition and how old their gods and everything is. I mean, Hanukkah is the movement and maker. And so these people were a boat. You know, they grew up. They created their civilization on coast, river coast, and ocean coast. I think Belize, that area now. Couple areas in there where they live. And so we see these people in Florida. We see these people all the way up in Georgia. And we know they're up in Arkansas. What is the mounds called in Arkansas? Old man right now. Zapato mounds. But in the mounds, we see them making shapes of, again, the bounded heads. And that's a big way, a big difference between the Mexicanos and the Mayans and the Omen is the bounding of the heads. I don't think the Mexicanos bound their heads. And so you're talking about one of the earliest that visited all up and down California. Like one of the earliest explorers of the whole Americas. Again, the Mexicanos or the Aztecs came from basically Arizona, Texas, and went down into central Mexico. And so, like they found their bodies. They have their bodies. They have their tombs. There's recreation of their tombs, but you don't want to hear them a lot talking about what is the DNA lead. And there are a couple civilizations. I know Dr. Winters, the Micaiah, get into the Micaiah or the Corn people that were contemporaries, if not slight before. This gentleman behind me, the original Starface, Sunface Flower, the Great Bacall, he's the merging of the Mayan and the Omen. He got taught in both areas. That's why that picture represents the jaguar and goes all the way up to the Quetzalcoatl. So he emerges out of the jaguar because he got that intelligence, and then he goes up into the Quetzalcoatl too. So he was taught in both ways, and probably was the last real person that understood both systems. That's why he became such a great leader, and we still, people talk about him today. And again, not trying to give the credit of them being world travelers, because it appears it definitely appears like they traveled. And that's the thing, me and Turtle Gang are going to do something. We got to talking about the time walking papers and something one day, and about a few minutes to go on one of his lives. So we're going to bring that up. And he had a really good special. And what you have to understand about the world, people have always traveled around the world. And we know that people, we find Michigan copper in Kemet. Now, we already know the cocaine mummies, and they try, well, there was contamination, no. They had nicotine and cocaine, those mummies. So people have always traveled the world. And that's one of the things they don't like talking. People travel the world. And they don't want to give, again, they want only a few people to say, but ships have been able to surround, and especially I've talked about this for years, is the northern route. Going the northern route of California, the northern route through Iceland, Greenland, that's the shorter way that the people would go. But it was always a lot of movement all around. So it was never, that people didn't move and people didn't know. They knew about the Americas. I think, and they came before Columbus. I think Dr. Brent Swerda talks about Don Juan knowing about the Americas. I think in his book, he kind of hints that the King of Portugal kind of had maps and knew about the Americas. So this is just the greatest thing that they gave to the world was the ball. I mean, let's not take that away from them. That is their lasting rubber, any rubber, even though it's vulcanized. They didn't vulcanize it, but they was able to make it in what is that type of rubber called? But they would make rubber. They gave them. That's why the omen means rubber, or people of the rubber lands. Synthetic. What is the rubber I'm looking for that they make? But they were able to make rubber, not vulcanized rubber like tires, but just simple rubber. There's another name for it, but they were able to, and that's why I've got a book back there that shows the 2,000-3,000-year-old balls. And that's how all ball games got started. Was through them. That's their legacy. That's why I call it the sacred ball game. That's why I talk about fixed sports, because sports to us, the melanated people of the Americas, or however you listened to me, you lived in America, you know about ball. And this is a spiritual thing to us. That's been used against us to say it's only one way to make it, and if you play on TV. And I'm a prime example of my adult life. I played semi-pro basketball until my 50s. So you can't tell me, I didn't have a fulfilled career, or that my career was less. I played 3 years of college, and I went right into playing damn near 30 years of semi-pro basketball. But that is what they left behind us. So all ball games, no matter how it's played, if it's played with a ball, it's a sacred part to it. Many of you just playing a game of fight, and you can just get lost into competing against your people. Or if you guys remember just tackling and throw the football up and whoever, if you can outrun everybody. I mean, you ever play tackle lead and you dodge everybody, you get in the end zone, and everybody behind you is resting because they tired trying to chase you, and you kind of catching your breath and looking where you're going to run next. And that's how sacred it is. And they've corrupted it. You know, different groups have taken over what we look as is inside of us. We know this is a spiritual game. That's why we excel at it so well, and that's why we love it so much. But people like me and Lobo, I've been harping on them because they've corrupted it. They've corrupted something that we hold sacred. To us, that means, and you know, that to show you the sacredness, why do you think teams feel so strongly about their high schools, their college? Because there is a sacredness about it to us. It's like they represent us in a way. So, agree with people from Sarnetta, talk about, I say different than they agree about this. I say different than they say Asian. Ah, okay. No, they would be more just straight up black folks that was like you see some of them you talking about southern Mexico, you see some real dark folks. And even the one back here in the Mayan was definitely all copper colored folks. Like even I go back to the Aztecs, wherever they came, these is brown, dark brown people. Now you're saying, are they the phenotype, say, as an Asian type of cat? No, it doesn't appear so. Now, did they go to Asia? Very possibly. The island hopped. Because the heads you see on Easter Island is almost, you know, if you look at the way of an art, it's a very similar type of art. And then when we go to Angkor Wat, it's almost identical. Some of the heads in Angkor Wat and some of, you know, the Angkor Wat doesn't show the sacred ball player, but Angkor Wat does show the same type of individual. So, hey, Derek, what's happening? Thank you for joining. So, Asian, no, I'll stick still with American, you know. And yeah, it's interesting because, you know, I really, it's like some of this stuff I can experience. I guess that's the best way to put it there. And it's like, yeah, you know, they have knowledge of the world. I'll put it that way. It's like when you get deep into the Mayan or you get deep into the Omen, you see that their knowledge of the whole world, they knew about the whole world. So it wasn't limited. And so even like you get into Sanskrit, I mean, they talk about the flying machines and stuff. So when you have flying machines, you look at the whole world. And then the same thing is, you know, when I get to talking about the time walkers, they knew that not just the world, they knew the universe. The poem I used to tell you know, they said they knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent. The serpent was the Milky Way galaxies. You knew how to, you know. And then even the time walkers talking about, you know, having a flying machine on Earth made out of brass. And so, you know, if you in flying machines back then, you knew about everywhere. So it ain't got to be no aliens. I mean, it's obviously that tech was higher and then we got dumbed down. I mean, that's obvious. The tech was once higher and we've been dumbed down ever since. And really, I mean, and I guess that does, you know, the mud flood people get off on that, but really, even before the mud flood was talked about, we knew that still that there's been a dumbing down of society. I mean, we speak a almost retarded language that has so many mistakes and everything. So, you know, it's just been a whole dumbing down. And society is like, they look at like where we are, like how dumb do we got? Okay, give them this. And you know, it's like text messaging should have been, when it first came out, it should have been banned from children and teenagers. Because from their own studies, they knew that teenagers would rather look at a text than save their own life, meaning driving. They knew that going in, and they allowed it. They knew teenagers would be so hooked on texting that they would risk their lives to look at a text. They already knew that. It wasn't like, you know, when these teenagers started getting killed because they looking at text, that this was something they didn't understand. These people do tests with this stuff. They know. And yet they banned it after the fact. Because again, they wanted everybody buying them things. And that's what we are. We are a country that's based on, profits. We're a corporation company, corporation more than a real country. That's why, none of our votes mattered. Our votes don't matter. You vote local? Yeah, local. And you even see how they do it. APEC tries to go in and buy if it's somebody that don't like them, they throw billions of dollars. Like Harris, look at Harris. And Harris spent $1 billion in 100 days. But again, who did she spend with? Who did she spend with? Who gets most of the money when there's a campaign? TVs. So it's just them recircling the money. They give it to her campaign. She gives it back to them, and because of TV ads. Few hotels, few chartered planes, few local money. I mean, we had local people that were saying they wasn't getting paid by her. Y'all remember that? And then she said, despite spending $1 billion, she was $20 million in the hole. So how do you get extra credit for running for president? How could you just be saying, well, I need another 5,000. This billion ain't, I'm spending this shit out this billion. How do you get that? How do you get in debt when you only had $1 billion and it says you just only use campaign money? How did you get an extra 20 million? You can borrow against the campaign money? So, I mean, the whole system is corrupt. Let me tell this story, and then I got to go. Yeah, I got to go. I'm going to watch some high school football tonight. But let me tell you this story. I watched a movie about World War II and JFK, or Roosevelt. Roosevelt in the wheelchair, not Teddy, but the one in the wheelchair. And there was a scene where Harry S. Truman goes sees Roosevelt. Now, like Europeans couldn't drink water. You understand this? European society, their old society, they really weren't water drinkers. Their water was so filthy, their wells were contaminated. So they really weren't water drinkers. All right? And we get the same thing, all of Europe. France, remember, little kids can drink wine in France because again, it goes back to they couldn't drink water. They had to boil their beer. They had to boil things. Like we was talking about the plague, that's kept a lot of people alive in the plague, was boiling beer. When you make beer, you got to boil it. But anyway, getting back to Roosevelt. So if you look at pictures of Roosevelt in his 50s, he looks horrible. You can tell these people are dehydrated. That's why they say when you look at old pictures, you can tell the people were dehydrated back then because there just was no big push for people to drink water. And so people age faster because of the lack of drinking water. Well, I bring this up because I've been watching this series on Roosevelt. Now, this cat died a year younger than me. Chain smoker, even though he was in a wheelchair, chain smoker his whole life. And they said they couldn't even do an autopsy because his veins were so almost petrified. His veins were open. They couldn't even get needles in his veins because he turned into something different. But I bring this up because Harry Truman, in this show, Harry Truman, he goes and sees him, they have a talk, and he goes back to talk to his wife, Bess, and he was like, that man ain't going to live much longer. I mean, after what he's telling his wife, basically, like, this guy is not going to live. He is, like, totally unhealthy. He ain't going to be here much longer. And he said, I didn't sign up for this shit. That's pretty much what he says in the movie. He's like, I didn't sign up to be president. I didn't want to be president. I was just, with him. And so if you look at now, we probably see the very similar thing of a person in the 80s. A person that never even, never ate good food. Always on the go. And you got a young guy that, and everybody's saying that he smells. You're looking at the people around him that he smells. If you're wearing a catheter and you got one of them little bags, you definitely smell like piss. And that's you guys been around people. I mean, there's no way to get rid of that smell. You're going to smell like piss. And so they say he got all that. And so you got Vance cheesing in the background. Like, I don't give a fuck if this dude stinks or not. I'm sitting here and you're about to see me. So that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of that. that this man might be so unhealthy that he might go away. Oh, God, I said, what's up to Derek? So we'll see. It just, and we've had people be sick, pass and be sick in office. Poison probably too. Most presidents that died in office where they didn't get killed was more than likely poisoned. Because poison back in the day, people just don't understand how easy it was to poison somebody. That's why kings used to have people to taste their food for them to make sure it wasn't poisoned, because it was so common. And we know that a lot of Africans, a lot of slaves used to poison their masters. One sister I was reading about wiped out a whole family. Because again, the fight was there. I mean, you done stole all these Indian tribes. And again, Indian tribes working with the British, what's the Wassos? I don't think that name is right, but there's a tribe that you can, I'll try to find this name for you. But they are a tribe that started, they were one of the first tribes to start trading with the British, and they were allowed to slave the longest. Was it Wasso? I have to look it up. I'll definitely have to look that. But they probably slave traded in America, slaving Indians and trading Indians. They were allowed to go from the East Coast, and then you see them slave trading as the Spanish start coming into America and stealing people for the slave trade. You see this, the Wessos. I think that's what they're called, the Wessos. You see the Wessos in them same areas. They followed where they could still slave. So we had that going on, Indians selling Indians. We had them, pouring people out of North Carolina to go to Jamaica. So saying that all these people came from Africa, very low numbers. And my wife and her friends and family, they all argue with me about when we see the slave blueprint with all the bodies packed neatly. No, that never happened. That's a blueprint. That's somebody's proposal. When we know they were moved in storage boats. 10 people here, 5 people here. I think Columbus started with 20 people, and I think 5 lived. I think he started with 20. He took 20 people, and I think only 5 lived. And I think all those 5, maybe 3 lived. I thought all 5 died. I got to research that again because I'm reading something else that says a couple of them made the trip going back because they needed interpreters, so they kind of kept a few alive for interpreters when they went back. So, well, went much longer than I thought. I'll be back Sunday after the games. And thank you. Thank you for coming to here, old man. I appreciate it. Sorry, I was tripping the other day. Yesterday, I really haven't messed with this in months, so forgot how everything worked. My son had to get me through last night, so to get to this point. So stay up, be positive. And I'll say this in closing. Like, we feel indifferent. That's the best way I can say about things. Is like, what's going on? We feel so indifferent about it. And yet they want to put blame to us. They want to tie us into something we had nothing to do with. Threaten our people when we had nothing to do with it. In a state where it ain't very many of us. There's not hardly any melanated people down there. But yet you want to tie us in. So we have to see.